Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
And welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Gretta and Carol today, and as always, the Realm of Beings, and you can stream us live every Friday on Transformation Network at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, or find us on your favorite streaming network after that. These conversations will help you examine your life and your creation of reality to show you what you're creating, how it shows up, and possibly how you can transform that and make changes. So if you're new to the podcast, each week we discuss a quotation that Gretta has downloaded from the Realm of Beings to better understand ourselves and our reality. So ladies, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Leigh.
Morning.
Good morning.
Today, we have a rather long quotation. It is, you have yourselves and no one else. You are alone. You just do not realize it. However, note that this experience in being alone is really an experience in oneness. There is no other but the one. That is a mouthful. A mouthful and a mindful, I would have to say. So I think it stood out because I just wanted to hear everyone's perspective on what that means. On one hand, you know, it seems like I'm alone. What does that mean? It doesn't seem like it. There's lots of beings around me. And so where do we want to start?
Well, I guess we want to start with me. That's interesting that you picked that, Leigh. Because that whole thing out there is no one else. What does that really mean? What does that look like when I have my husband, when I have my daughter, when I have the books that are behind me, and I have you and I have Carol? What does that mean that I'm alone? That's taking a deeper understanding into creation of reality. That's what that quote is really doing. Because we look at things, we just, when we learn about creation of reality, we think of, okay, I created getting a car, or I created being happy, or I created being in an accident, or whatever. So we look at those things. We don't look at everything that is around us. We have created it. Like, we don't think that the bed that I sleep in every night, or however I sleep, that before I get in it, I've got to create it. So that's why I'm saying that we're taking a deeper look at creation of reality. And we're taking a look at what are illusions, you know, because as humans, if I can smell it, if I can see it, if I can touch it, then it's real. Then it's real. So those are the mechanisms that we have in this reality to support us being in a state of illusion. This quote is saying, okay, let's look at really what's going on with us, each one of us, you know. I think I'd like to share a story of a friend of mine. Carol's familiar with her, but and I know she's listening today, but her husband made his transition about 2 years ago. We went, she asked me, she said, I'd like to make sure that he's okay. I said, sure. So I traveled into the transitional portal itself, which I've done on various occasions. And I specifically asked to see what new transitional portal he had created. So when I got there, he was in their house, but I know that she had, before he died, had remodeled her kitchen. I had been in her house, so I knew that that was not the remodeled kitchen that I was looking at. It was the old kitchen that I had personally seen. I saw him standing there, but he was much thinner than what he was when he made his transition, but not too skinny, still formidable, but not heavy. And I saw her. Now, see, this is the important thing here, because I saw her in the transitional portal with him, but she was smaller. She wasn't as heavy as she is now. And then I told her, because she was listening to it, I told her, I said, I see a dog. Now the dog becomes significant because she has a dog now. So she asked me, she said, are the dog's ears pointing up, or are the dog's ears pointing down? I said, the dog's ears are pointing up. She said, Gretta, you are in the 1980s when we bought the house. So he went into, see, there is no such thing as death. Death is an illusion. So what happens is that person discontinues in a reality, moves to the next reality, moves to the next transitional portal, creates the transitional portal like we create this one. So he created a new transitional portal. He put his wife in it. He put his dog in it. And he's starting in the 1980s to learn, to continue there. Because when we make our transition, we review what lessons we've learned, what lessons we have not learned. Those that we have not learned, then we put them, we take them with us so that we can learn them. Because you must finish the commitment of learning those lessons. So he started right there at that point in time. Now, I want to reiterate, I saw her there with him. At the same token, she was with me. So that's why I'm saying, if you can, I know everybody can grasp it, but it's just, it's like, what? Really? But this is what happens. So she was with him and she was with me. So simultaneously, because remember, there's no past, there is no future, there's only the now. So everything stays in a state of being in the now. So he's in a transitional portal, a brand new one, with her in it. That means because he created the transitional portal, he created her to be in it. He created the dog to be in that whole scenario with him. He created the house. He created the kitchen he was standing in. He created everything that he wanted to start learning or to continue learning his lessons. He created that. So how can she be in the transitional portal, his new transitional portal, while she's in this one with me. Because he's in charge of his creation of reality. He puts there, and each one of us puts there what we want and who we want to interact with.
Greta, I do have a question. It's funny that you brought that story up because I've actually been thinking on it the last few days. In that situation, in his new transitional portal, is she also creating her reality? Or is she merely supporting his?
She's going to begin to create her reality as well.
Okay.
The illusion is creating the reality as well.
Okay.
Because that's, see, we can get into aspects. See, most of us think and believe that the physical bodies that we see, that's it. That's who we are. We identify with the physical body. We do not realize that we are creating the physical body that we are occupying. Just like we are creating the environments that we interact with, we're creating the people that we interact with. If we come out of the illusionary state and we come out of creating everyone and everything that's around us, you will see that we are only energy. That's what that quote is talking about. We are only energy, and that's it. And what is the energy? The realm of beings teaches that the energy is the force itself, that which creates all of existence. So we have a, so that is one thing. I don't know if
And there's only one energy.
absolutely.
Right.
There's only one energy. We think people who are doing Reiki, people who are using an EE system, people who are using the Therapy system, people who are doing their own type of energy work. Longevity is another type of healing work that's done remotely as well. All of those people think they're working with their energy, that energy is there specifically for them, which it is, because they've created it to be that way. But the point is that there's only one energy, and we're all utilizing it simultaneously. Even those that have left us and moved on to another transitional portal. Like we're teaching that where we are right now is a transitional portal. We just don't realize it. We've already gone through the process of quote unquote dying. We have recreated a new environment for ourselves to continue learning our lessons. So go ahead, Leigh.
Oh no, I have a question. I'm glad we meandered onto this path of illusionness, because I was thinking about it before we came on today. And okay, if everything is just one and it's all the same energy coalescing in different components to make this different matter, and this matter and everything in existence is for the understanding of the force and for the expansion of the force, to say that everything is illusory seems like a discounting of what is taking place. Because I mean, everything that's in existence is for the experiential learning and growth of the force. So how could it not be a valid thing? Like there's all this matter, all these atoms utilizing this energy to create designs and manifestations, whether they be, sometimes we talk on the podcast about how emotions are their own individual aspect. Each and every cell is their own individual aspect, here for its own lessons and purpose, to like feed that information back to the force for the expansion. So I don't know, sometimes I feel like saying it's all illusory is just discounting all of these amazing processes that the force created to experience itself.
No, it's not discounting anything. It's just saying what it is. It's not a discount.
Mhm.
It's just saying that what the realm of beings is doing is waking us up to a deeper understanding of ourselves and what is happening. What are we really doing? Because, see, we see ourselves as very minor individuals. We don't know how great and magnificent we are because we don't accept ourselves as the force. We think of a god or gods, and we think that God is, or Allah, or Yahweh, however you want to say, is something outside of ourselves. Now, the gods are their own individuals, just like I'm Greta and I'm my own individual. But the other thing that we want people to slowly get to, or quickly get to, recognizing that we are each the force, regardless of the personalities that we are manifesting. We're just manifesting personalities. We choose them before we enter into this portal, but we choose them so that we have more interesting interactions with people and how we support each other. But it's by no means to negate the beauty and the wonder of it, of the creations, of any of the creations.
Right, maybe then it's my perception of the word illusion, and I have to go deeper into that word because I feel like maybe my belief is illusion is insignificant or not really real, illusionary, like it's fake. So I guess I have to explore that.
Well, in a sense, when you say it's fake, yeah, we could say that. We could agree with you on that. But the way we've been set up as humanoids, it's very difficult for us to accept that. You can't tell me that when I touch a hot stove, that stove was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was hot. You can't, if you say, okay, that's an illusion.
Right, and the burn, the blister that's now coming on my hand.
Right. But see, when you get past that, when you go deeper into creation of reality, that is what is really happening. We are creating everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. You are creating everything.
And wouldn't these illusions just be methods of how we're learning our lessons, the way we create them? And using a burn as an example, I can't remember his name, but there used to be a gentleman that was known for walking barefoot on hot coals and never getting burned on his feet. And it was all the mind over matter type of situation. So again, it's just the perception and the method of creating reality.
Absolutely. And see, mind over matter, that's creation of reality. He was going to walk those coals, but he knew I'm not going to be burned. So he created not to be burned. And then the coals that he was walking on supported him in that. See, there's always in that, what do we call that? The existence protocol. People have heard us say it before, which is create, support, create. So the coals supported him, and so knowing that he did not want to be burned, so therefore it's not going to burn him. So that means any of us can walk on the coals if you're interested in doing that. But you've got to, when you get ready to put your foot down there, you got to know for real and take it into your gut that my feet are not going to be burned when I walk across this thing. Because as soon as you put your foot down there and you burn, and you take your foot off, that meant that you didn't believe it enough. You didn't put it deeper into your gut to note that I don't have to experience this if I don't want to. That's an excellent example. Because the only way we experience things is because we want to. Now, some people will say, what? That happened to me. You think I wanted to experience? But see, it's an experience at a different level. We have the unconscious that's working with us to say, okay, this is how you're thinking. So then you have the emotions behind what you're thinking. And so that creates the reality. So it's going to assist you in that reality. Even we create even the diseases that we experience. That's why we're always saying to people, if you have a disease, you don't want it, then get rid of it. Because you created it in the first place. So if you created it in the first place, then you can uncreate it in the first place. You can do that. But there might be some thoughts that might be holding you from that. That's why you want to listen to yourself when you're speaking. What's coming out of your mouth? You know, what are you creating? Because then you're going to put the emotion behind it. The thought comes first. You know, in psychology, they have people were trying to figure out what came first, the chicken or the egg. So they said that there were 3 theories that I'm familiar with that said one was that the thought comes first and then the emotion. Then another perspective was that the emotion comes first and then the thought. And then another perspective was that they both arrive at the same time. We're with that you've got to have the thought first and then the emotion is going to come to kick anything in that you want to be kicked in. You
But
know,
I mean, I guess that like leads us to that place of, you know, between those 3 options, what is the truth? And I guess the truth for you is the one you believe, right?
well, it's not even a belief system for me anymore. See,
Mm,
that's the thing. I'm beginning to, I look at, as I've gotten older and as I've learned and as I've been taught by the realm of beings, because they're the ones that teach me now. It's very rare. When I first started, I was reading Alice Bailey. I was looking at Blavatsky. I was looking at Edgar Cayce. I was looking at all of these things. I was examining all religions, you know, even Wiccan. I was examining all of that to be able to come to the understandings. And then when the realm took over my education, you know, there are things that they've taught me. And that's what I'm sharing with everybody on the podcast. So that's one of the things they taught me is that there's knowingness and then there's belief. Somebody quite a while ago said to me, well, Greta, your belief system. I said, excuse me, let me correct you with that. It's not a belief system for me. It's a knowing. You know, it's a knowing. Like I know that there is no past or future. That's something I know. I know that it is a humanoid experience because when I have the opportunities to interact with other species that are not humanoid, that are not from this planet, they don't think time. You see, there's no conception of time. So it's a humanoid construct. So we keep creating new constructs to help us understand what existence is. We have such a desire to understand, you know, this. So, but the point is that when we get rid of the illusions that we've created, we would see ourselves standing alone. And everything we create in front of us is an illusion. My kitchen, this computer I'm using, if I got rid of all of the bodies of all these things, everything in front of you. I'm only going to see energy, because the energy you cannot get rid of. You don't create it and you don't get rid of it. It's there. Why? Because the energy itself is the force. So that's what I'm going to see. If I get rid of all the corporal things that are in the screen with you, Carol, all the things that are in the screen with you, Leigh, including your physical bodies, I'm only going to see energy. But guess what? I'm not going to see energy in 3 different places. I'm going to see energy in one. I'll see one energy, even though it was three of us here. But the energy is always in a state of oneness, always, always.
Greta, real quick, because I know the realm will be coming soon, but one of the things that struck me on a personal level with this quote about being alone and having no one else brings the word lonely to mind. And I think you've even mentioned to me that there's really no need for us to feel lonely, because we're all not part, but we are all the force. So how do we separate that? We're not alone, but we are alone.
That's a good question, Carol. It's in how we understand. That's what the separation is going to be in. How do we understand what's been talked about today? How do we understand that quote? And as we move on in our understandings and the development of our knowingness, because I'm not the only one that's going to know something, everybody knows something of something, but the thing is that once you reach that knowingness, when you're in that search to understand, you're going to be given the things to assist you in furthering your understanding of what's there. It's like I was listening, my mentor, and I hope I'm going to say it's not sacral, it's scalar, good example. I was talking with one of my mentors in remote work, and he told me, he said, Greta, we would like you to learn the EE system, not learn it, but to come out, experience the EE system, which is another machine that works with vibration and frequencies, okay? It's like the Rife machine. Dr. Rife created that. Some people say his codes are inaccurate, but at that time, that's all we had. And so the codes were, he would set the machine at a certain vibratory rate and frequency rate. It would ameliorate disease. Like if you had diabetes, he'd set it for diabetes. You'd hold on to it looked like bicycle things to hold on to it. And he would set the machine and it would go into your body. The energy from that machine would go into your body, okay? So now we have a lot of machines out here. I was talking to somebody about that now, that a lot of them are coming out of Germany. So my mentor mentioned to me, he said, well, the EE system uses scalar energy. And I said, scalar energy? I said, what is scalar energy?
I'm not familiar with that term.
I know, but scalar energy, what are you talking, what is that? I said, describe that to me. So he described it to me, and I said, oh my. I said, that's just sounding like pranic energy. You see how in quantum healing, because they created that term too, quantum, that makes you think, oh, this is really something, quantum healing. So then now they changed it to scalar energy. And I'm saying, well, that is really interesting. Then I went on YouTube yesterday and I was listening to this one station and it had this one gentleman on, I've forgotten his name now, and he created this machine. He said, we use scalar energy. But he described it. He says, we're calling on the energy of the sun and the stars. The energy from the sun and the stars. And I said, now, how about that? You see, we create other names to make things more, to seem more important, or to sound like we've created something new, when we really haven't created anything new. There's a gentleman, he's written his books about pranic healing, you know, and what is prana? Prana is the healing, the energy from the sun. So what is scalar energy? The energy from the sun, same thing, but different words. So it makes you think that this is a whole new system, and it really isn't. But that's the creation of reality. We want to keep creating these things. We want to keep trying to figure out how this is different. So I'm using scalar energy. And I said, wow, that is really interesting, because I know there are people out there, I don't know if there are any of them listening to us this morning or this evening, that it is pranic healers. There are people that use that energy to do pranic, they call it pranic healing. So it's no different than him pulling scalar, but he puts it in a machine. The people who are doing pranic healing deal with it coming from their mind and their bodies giving it, you see. And then it tickled me, because what we do in the facilitation work, when we do, we don't believe that we heal anybody, because people have got to heal themselves. But one thing that we do is that we use the sun. We call it three-pronged pranic, three-pronged pranic energy. That means a long time ago, I can't remember, because I've been doing this work now for over 30 years. So somewhere in year 10, maybe, I was given the opportunity to utilize the energy from 2 other suns. So I use the energy from 3 suns, not just one. And they're so deep into the universe that scientists here have not even conceptualized their existence as of yet. So this is a knowingness. It's not a belief, it's a knowingness. And so I use all 3 energies in the facilitation process, which is a healing process for someone.
But I mean, in we have to get to the realm, but I mean, in saying all of that, does it really make a difference who calls it scalar, who calls it pranic, who calls it the names? I mean, if it's all the same thing, and if it helps people where they are heal themselves or come to a new perspective, isn't
It
it to get
doesn't.
7 billion people to agree on what is what?
Oh
It's going to
no.
be quite a feat. So
This,
the
go
bottom
ahead.
line is, if it assists people in their expansion, like, who cares what they call it?
Well, see, the people who call it that would care about it. They're going to be people that are going to care about it, because otherwise they wouldn't have created it.
Mhm.
So the thing is, though, what we want to recognize is that everyone creates their own reality. See, this is loving. Now we're getting into, and I know we've got to go to the next phase, but this is loving unconditionally. That means when I love you unconditionally, however you've created your reality is fine with me. When I was talking about scalar energy, by no means am I criticizing them. I was giving information and letting you know that different people do different things. And it's okay. It's okay.
And I'm not using not caring in a pejorative term. I'm just saying, like, however people are getting there to their expansion, like, it's all good.
That's what we've been saying. We've always said that. See, there is no evil. There is no bad. To be able to tell you it's got truth, there is no good.
Well, I mean, we have to speak with words that humans understand. So,
Of course, but we also want to, as we speak, so we teach.
Mhm.
So it's okay whatever anybody believes. It's like that young man that I've used as an example years ago, who graduated from high school, and I asked him. I said, "So what are you going to do now?" He said, "I'm going to go and experience being homeless." And I said, "Okay, that's good." And he actually did that. He wanted to experience what was it like to be homeless. I didn't go and tell him and say, "Oh my God, you're not going to college. You're not going to get a job. You're not going to do this. You're going to live out on the street. You're going to do this." No, it's whatever you accept at the time you are experiencing it. It is okay. Because all of the things that we are experiencing are part of lessons. Lessons. That's why we say don't criticize anybody, because you don't know what lessons that they have set to learn. So it's all acceptable. And when relieving the concept of good, evil, one lady told me, she said, "Greta, is love real?" I said, "Absolutely not."
Oh, that's a
What does it
big
mean? That's a
changer
big
of the
one.
game.
Yeah, 'cause she asked me that. And before I went to speak at this place, I knew, I said, somebody's going to ask me that question. And I guess I created it, but I felt it as well. So she raised her hand. "Is love real?" I said, "No. It's up there with good, bad, evil, fine, all those things. Because what is real is the isness of something. And what is the true isness of anything? And that's the force. That's
And
the true isness.
And on that note, thank you, Greta. We will take a short pause. And when we come back, we will have the realm of beings weigh in on their quotation. Listeners, thank you for joining us. This is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We'll be right back. Hello, listeners. Thank you for staying with us. We've reached the point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in directly on their quotation. So, realm, are you with us?
Yes, we are.
Okay, this is a long one. You have yourselves and no one else. You are alone. You just do not realize it. However, note that this experience in being alone is really an experience in oneness. There is no other but the one. What do you have to tell us today?
I think it's to look at what is meant by the one. We'd like to start there.
Okay.
The one is a term in English, the English language, that we want to use to convey that there is nothing else but the one thing. And that one is energy. It has a lot of components to it. And that because there's only one, that means that everything in existence is it, regardless of how it appears. A truck that you get into to drive down the road is the force, because it's energy. You get rid of all the corporal bodies of everything that you see in front of you. You will only see energy. That is all. Everything else, you take the energy and form it into what you want it to be for you at the moment. If you're looking for a new couch, you're going to go to the store or you're going to go online, and you will see a myriad of couches because you're creating them in front of you. You just don't realize. customize it. And then you say, I want the green one with the white polka dots. So you pay, you order it, it's delivered to your house, and you see it. But note, you created it. You created it to be whatever color it was with the white polka dots on it. That was your creation of reality. You're creating everything. This is what this quote is really talking about. You are creating everything all the time. There is never a time in your existence that you are not creating. We're going to say that again. You are creating all the time. Everything that you see in front of you, before you see it, you create it. Where do you create it? You create it in mind. How do you create it? You use the energy, which is the force, to support you in that creation. There are bodies called, that you call them in English, etheric bodies. And the etheric, most of you think you only have one in the etheric body, but you have trillions of them. Because the etheric body is that which holds the energy in the shape and form of which you created it to be. How did you create it to be? You created it to be by way of how you conceptualized it in your mind. So soon as you conceptualize it in your mind, then everything will be present for you to use to create it in your mind. And then you bring it from that reality down into a conscious reality where you can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can sit on it. So therefore you believe it's real. But if you get rid of the corporal body of it and everything that is corporal within it to construct it, you will only see energy. Energy that cannot die, it exists into infinity. That is why you as humans do not die. Death is a misnomer. Because a long time ago, people were trying to figure out this body is no longer moving. It's no longer breathing. It's no longer doing the normal things that a living, quote unquote, living body does. So it must be in another state. What do we want to call that state? We want to call that state death. So there were many people that created, when you're dead, you're gone. Because they don't see that physical body walking around anymore. But it's totally impossible for you to, quote unquote, die. You just move on. It's like moving from one room to the other. You know, you want to go into your bedroom. If you have a door and it's closed, you're going to open the door, you're going to step in. Even if the door is not closed, you want to go to your bedroom, you're going to go and step in it. That's all that's happening. Just a stepping in to something. Some change and not change, but some choose to transition in more, what some people would look at it as a really strange way of transitioning, or someone would think, oh, this is a horrible way to transition. But after, so you've chosen a method, you choose the method, you choose when you're going to leave, how you're going to leave. That's on you, nobody else. If somebody shoots you and kills you, they were giving you the support that you wanted, because that was the time that you wanted to exit and move to your next transitional portal, so you can continue to learn the lessons that you did not learn while you were in this transitional portal. And you will continue to go. When you get to the next transitional portal, you will not remember or be so cognizant of the transitional portal that you left.
But Round, when you say those things, it makes me nervous because we have to remember something. How do we get out of the loop then?
That a loop is what you have created in this experience. If you have not learned to get rid of the loop, then you will carry it with you, but only then. You carry with you all lessons that you have not learned. So while you are in this experience, you want to learn as many lessons as you possibly can. The two main lessons are, for humanoids, is one, love yourselves, and then two, realize that there is no separation.
But wait, that just causes a conflict within me. So we forget the things we learned. And if we learned unconditional love in this space and we forget it the next time, don't we need to
No,
remember
because
some of the things we learned?
That's some that you've already learned that. That's energy, you've learned it.
Right. So I want to take that with me, don't I?
Well, look what you just said. I want to take it with me. Therefore, you will take it. Because you don't stop creating your reality just because you're moving to another transitional portal. You're creating the portal in the first place. So if you want to create that you understand and you want to remember unconditional love, then you will create to do that. Remember, you are always in charge. Anything you want, you can create it. You don't have to leave anything behind, but coming in here deciding that you want to be humanoid, one of the agreements for this experience is that I will continue until I have learned all of my lessons that I am committed to learn.
Realm, how do you recognize the lessons, besides the two big ones that we all know, on an individual basis? How do we recognize if we've learned a lesson?
Well, for instance, Leigh brought up that whole concept of loop. So I want to say that a loop means you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like some of you choose mates. You divorce the mate, marry the next mate, and it's the same mate really that you had before. Mm-hmm. Because that's a loop. That's a loop. Another loop, for example, would be you go take a job, you can only stay there for a month, and then you're fired. You create to be fired. Because that's the only way you can be fired, is you create it. So then you get another job, and within a month, you create to be fired again. Then you go get another job, and within a month, you get fired again. That's a loop. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
It's also the definition of insanity.
Well,
right?
Insanity has a lot of depth. We would not use, we personally would not use the word insane, because what comes with that but judgment?
Right.
You have to judge something to be in your perception of being insane.
I think that's just, I forget who originated that quote about insanity being, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. I think that was the physicist that came up with that.
Well, that was his recognition of that.
Right.
That's how he perceived it to be. He perceived it to be, how can you do the same thing over and over and over again? He said that the doing over and the doing over and the doing over again in his mind was insane. So then we can say that was a judgment call from his part. So then we would say to him, what have you experienced? What have you created in your own experience that is insane? Because what you speak about someone else has got to be inside of you first. Remember, everything is inner, inside. Nothing is really outside. You create your challenges from the inside of your beingness. And you also create the solutions to the challenges from your inner being. Yes.
Raum, we're almost to the end of the podcast, but in as briefly as you can you speak about that term illusion? Because
illusions are terms that you as humans have used to explain that things are not real. It's like going into, as Gretta calls it, the fun house, and you look at all these mirrors and you see different shapes of yourselves. You know those are illusions. Those are not real. The only thing is that you don't realize that nothing is real except the force and the oneness of it.
Right, but what I was talking with the ladies earlier is I feel sometimes when we're in this human experience, and it's an extension of the force for experiential expansion and learning and evolution. To say that this matter that is coalesced by these like brilliant.
That is coalesced by what? Okay.
I think Leigh is having some computer issues.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Carol, how
Yes.
long may we speak?
We have at least another 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Now, do you have some idea of what Leigh was trying to ask us?
I think the term illusion is in and of itself a bit confusing because in the English language, at least, illusion, as many words, seem to have multiple meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps she is confusing the illusions we're creating of our so-called lives versus illusions done by, say, a magician. That's my interpretation. I'm not really sure that I'm speaking directly from what her thoughts are, but that was what I felt about it.
So what we said again was that illusions, I'm glad you brought that up when you said it has different connotations for different people. So we don't know really now how Leigh created this experience, not to complete the question. But the thing is that illusion is everything that you're looking at. Everything that you see is an illusion. Everything, because there's only energy. And there's only the energy is the force itself. There you go.
And our perception of shaping it into various forms is just our method of learning our lessons.
Yes, you can say that it is part of that, learning the lessons, shaping your realities. Because I think you asked, how do you know when it's a lesson?
Or how do you completed the lesson?
because then it doesn't come up anymore. If it's a low vibrational lesson that you've learned and you've stopped it, that means then you learned it. If it's not continuing with you, then you've learned it. But there are lessons also in joy. Joy is a lesson as well. Happiness is a lesson. All lessons are not all negative or low vibration.
That's true.
There are high vibrational lessons as well. Learning how to be filled with joy, learning how to be filled with peace. That's a lesson unto itself. So everything you do is set up for you to learn a lesson. You have created them.
Right.
You have created how you want to experience your life, and your life is you create the illusions to help you experience it. If you were just sitting in a space and you had no illusions, you're just sitting there looking at a blank wall, a blank space. When you're in your apartments, in your houses, many of you think, let me put a picture over here. Let me put a photograph of our family over there. So you're adding to the house. Let me get a rocking chair and put it there. You're adding to the house. So like you're adding to a house, you're adding to your life through these illusions. They give you the experience. They support you in your lessons. You see.
Realm, thank you. We have about 30 seconds left if you want to just finish up anything pertinent.
Well, thank you, Carol. The things we want to say is what we say every week. We want everybody to learn to love yourselves. Fall in love with yourselves. I know you want to love other people. That's wonderful. But the first person you want to really love is you. Love you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Realm, thank you so much for your wisdom, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in with us. Leigh, Gretta, until we create each other again, everyone have a wonderful week.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.